It's one of the biggest questions out there. Why are some countries super wealthy while others are just stuck in poverty? Is it about their location? Do they have oil or diamonds? Is it something in their culture? Well, we're going to dive right into that because the answer, it might be a lot simpler and way more powerful than you'd guess.
So to really get to the bottom of this, let's start with a kind of a strange question. What on earth do economics and, say, a game of chess or soccer have in common?
It's one word, the rules. That's it. It all comes down to the rules of the game.
All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about what these rules of the game actually are. Then we'll break them down into two types, formal and informal. After that, we'll take a look back in history to see what happened when the rules got a major shakeup. Then we'll connect all of that to freedom and prosperity today. And stick around for the end, because we're going to uncover the mind-blowing power of something called compound growth. It's a game changer.
Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1. What do we actually mean when we say the rules of the game?
So, there's a more official term for this, and it comes from a Nobel Prize winner named Douglas North. He called them institutions, and his definition is just perfect. He said they're the rules of the game in a society, the humanly devised constraints that shape human interaction. Think about that. He's saying our entire economy, our social lives, it's all basically a game. And the rules of that game, they decide what we can and can't do.
So let's just make this super clear. Institutions are just the formal and informal rules that shape how we all deal with each other. But here's the absolute key takeaway. They create incentives, right? They can either encourage us to work together, to innovate, to build things, or they can push us towards fighting, corruption, and poverty. They basically set the entire stage for how society plays out.
Okay, so now that we've got a handle on what institutions are, let's dig a little deeper. We're going to break them down into the two main categories, formal and informal rules.
So on one side, you have your formal institutions. These are the ones that are written down, codified. They're usually enforced by the government. We're talking laws, constitutions, regulations. Then on the other side, you've got the informal ones. These are the unwritten rules, the social norms, the traditions, the codes of conduct that we all just kind of know and follow, even though they're not written down anywhere.
Yeah, so formal rules are the things you can literally point to. A Congress or a parliament building where laws get made, the court system where those laws are interpreted, the specific commercial laws that tell you how to run a business, central banks, and maybe the most important one, the rule of law itself, the idea that nobody is above the law. This is the visible skeleton of a society.
But, and this is a big but, the informal rules are just as critical. Think about it. The family unit, that's where we learn our first values. The level of trust in a society, that completely changes how business gets done. A culture of saving versus a culture of spending, that determines how much money is available for investment. Things like language and communication, these are the invisible forces, the cultural software that really makes an economy tick.
Okay, so we've got these two types of rules running in the background. But what happens when those rules change? Well, this is where the story of humanity takes a really, really dramatic turn.
Check this out. For pretty much all of human history, we're talking close to 200,000 years, people were just stuck, trapped in stagnation and poverty. But then, around 1800, something huge happened, especially in the West. The rules of the game shifted. Suddenly, there was better protection for private property, stronger enforcement of contracts, and it just unleashed this explosion of growth. And we've seen it happen again. Look at China after it opened its markets in '79, or India when it liberalized its economy in '91. When you change the rules, you literally change the world.
And hey, this isn't just some dusty old history lesson. It's happening right now. Let's look at the hard data today that connects freedom, which is really just a sign of good rules, with prosperity.
So if you look at the world today, it's a mixed bag. Only about 20% of everyone on the planet lives in a country that's considered free. That means a staggering 80%. 8 out of every 10 people are living under rules that are either only partly free or not free at all. Most of humanity is playing this game on a much harder difficulty setting.
So what does that actually mean for people's lives? Well, just look at this chart. The connection between economic freedom and national wealth is just undeniable. It's a straight line. The countries with the best rules, protecting property, enforcing contracts, letting people trade freely, their average income per person is just worlds apart from the others. And we're not talking about a small difference here. It is absolutely immense.
Now you might be thinking, okay, sure,
But that's probably just the rich getting richer, right? Well, that's a fair question, but take a look at this data. This focuses on the poorest 10% of the population. And even there, the story is the same. The poorest people in the most economically free countries are dramatically better off than the poorest people in the least free countries. It's not a cliché, it's true. Good rules really do lift all boats.
Okay, but why? Why are the differences so massive? This brings us to our final section, and honestly, this is the secret sauce. It's the incredible power of compound growth.
So let's just imagine two countries. Country A has good rules, and it grows at a pretty modest 2.8% per year. Country B has bad rules, and it grows at just 1.1% per year. Now, on the surface, that difference seems tiny, right? I mean, it's less than 2 percentage points. Who cares? Well, let's fast forward just one generation, 25 years. That country with the good rules, its economy has just about doubled in size. The other one, it's only grown by about a third. Suddenly, that tiny little difference doesn't seem so tiny anymore. A huge gap has already opened up.
But now, let's zoom out to 100 years. That's about 4 generations. That tiny, seemingly insignificant difference in the rules has compounded into a massive, life-altering chasm. One country is now unimaginably wealthier, healthier, and more advanced than the other. That is the staggering, almost magical power of getting the rules right and letting them work over time.
So here's the bottom line. These institutions, these rules of the game, they aren't just some boring topic in an economics textbook. No way. They are the actual foundation that prosperity is built on. They're like the invisible operating system for a society. Get it right, and amazing things happen. Get it wrong, and you stay stuck.
And all of this really leaves us with one massive question to think about. When we look at the world around us today, what are the rules that need to change right now to give the next generation a shot at a better, more prosperous future?